Hampshire secured their second win from 2 matches in this season's Yorkshire Bank 40 campaign as they defeated Scotland by 5 wickets with 15 balls to spare at the Ageas Bowl. Jimmy Adams won the toss and decided, as he did in Friday night's win at Essex, to chase. The Scots made a bright start with Freddie Coleman striking an early boundary. Hampshire opened up with spinner Liam Dawson, who should have had Callum MacLeod stumped, only for Adam Wheater to forget his lines behind the stumps. That, though, didn't prove too costly as Hampshire broke through in the 6th over. MacLeod on 13 trying something clever but not getting enough on his shot and finding Chris Wood instead. David Balcombe got that wicket and he was close to also removing Coleman. This edged wrong-footing Wheater behind the stumps. Coleman was instead removed by Hamza Riazuddin, Balcombe taking a fine catch in the deep to reduce Scotland to 49 for 2 at the end of 10 overs. Matt Matin has some first-class experience for Sussex, but he'd made only 8 before becoming the third man out, mistiming his shot and finding Sean Irvine. The Scots were in some trouble when they also lost Majid Hack, who tried to hit out but could only top-edge to Dawson at slip. And when Richie Berrington was foxed by Danny Briggs and stumped this time by Wheater, Scotland were in a pickle on 88 for 5 in the 24th over. The fact that they got close to 200 was largely down to Preston Momsen. The South African got his innings moving with a well-timed shot off Briggs that carried the distance. He added 43 runs in 11 overs with Matthew Cross, who'd made 21 when he threw the bat at this ball from Wood, but found James Vince in the deep. The Scotland skipper, Momsen, can be pleased with his efforts. He recorded the 5th 50 of his one-day career with this shot, which brought him his 3rd 4 to go with that earlier 6. His half-century had occupied 69 balls and was a fine effort, which had kept his side in the game. In the same over, Monib Iqbal sliced this shot off Wood to Briggs to depart at 172 for 7, with 7 balls of the innings remaining. And 20 useful runs came from those deliveries. Gordon Goody hit the penultimate ball for 6, and then finished the innings off with another 4, leaving his captain unbeaten on 60, as Scotland made 192 for 7 from their allotted 40 overs, Goody smashing 15 off only 5 balls at the end. It didn't look to be enough against this fine one-day outfit, but Scotland gave themselves a real chance when they removed both Hampshire openers in the first 6 overs. Michael Carberry edged Calvin Burnett behind, while Vince advanced down the pitch to Goody and edged to Hack to leave Hampshire in a bit of bother on 18 for 2. It was Carberry and Vince who'd batted superbly at Essex to send them to an easy victory, but to repeat that, the other batsmen were now going to have to come to the party. George Bailey started the recovery with a couple of clashy shots, as he and Adams added 43 in 9 overs for the 3rd wicket. But Scotland were still very much in this game when Gordon Drummond, a man with a good Scottish name, bowled Bailey for 24. And when Irvine clubbed a high full toss from Matin to MacLeod, the Scots fancied an upset. Had Matin won this vociferous appeal for an LBW against Adams in his next over, then Scotland may have pulled off the remarkable. As it was, Adams kept going as he needed to do. This was not the easy game that many in Hampshire would have expected. Adams got to an important 50 in the 28th over, by which time his side had reached 128 for 4 and now needed a further 65 runs from the remaining dozen overs. Adams had faced 60 balls for his 50 and had struck only 3 4s to emphasise the squeeze the Scots attack had put on their hosts. And that attack hadn't given up yet, especially after Adams was out in the next over, chipping a ball from Drummond to Iqbal at deep square. Adams was gone for 51. So, as we moved into the final 10 overs, Hampshire required 52 to win, and they were thankful that they had a well-set Dawson at the crease at this stage. He didn't have to go hell for leather and could be selective in his shots, sometimes using up a bit of luck too. Wheater had a little time to bet himself in. Had Scotland scored maybe just another 20 runs, that would have been a different story. Wheater used a reverse paddle to very good effect to ensure that his side didn't leave themselves too much to do at the death. The target was down to just 9 off the last 4 overs by the time that Dawson reached his 50 with his 3rd boundary. He'd needed 61 balls for his half-century, a pleasing one made under difficult conditions. Wheater hit the winning runs off the 3rd ball of the 38th over to ensure that there was no major upset. It certainly had not been a convincing performance from last season's champions, but they did the job all the same to make it 2 wins from 2 at the start of this season's competition. Scotland, meanwhile, may yet prove to be a tough side to beat. With Dawson making 54 and Wheater 35, Hampshire won by 5 wickets with 15 balls to spare, but they have little time to rest on that victory as they play their 3rd game in 4 days at the Kia Oval on Bank Holiday Monday.